Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stephanie, and welcome to Stephanie's Space. Today, I'm going to be giving my full spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. So let's get into it. All right, so just right off the bat, I'm going to give you guys my rating. I will give it about a 75%. To me, it wasn't the greatest movie. It was not the greatest movie of all it definitely wasn't the greatest Spider-Man movie. Between Sam Raimi's the Amazing Spider-Man and then the MCU version of Spider-Man, because there's a lot of things, in my opinion, and all film is subjective, people, so don't get mad at me because I feel the way I feel, but there was a lot of things that I felt like they did in the movie just to fit some kind of future storyline that they were going for. And so I've got some notes that I'm going to talk about. So I don't know. I feel like I was really disappointed. To me, this was the most hyped Spider-Man movie of all time. The way they put out the trailers, the way people talked about it, the way the ticket sales, like they crashed the internet the day the tickets went on sale. It was crazy. And I guess, like MJ said in the Spider-Man movie, she said, if you don't have any expectations, you won't be disappointed. And I think that's one thing. I went into the movie with such high anticipation, thinking that this was going to be like the greatest movie ever. And like I said, with all the hype from the trailers and everything and the movie ticket sales and all that stuff, to come to it and to finally get there and see it, I was really disappointed. And don't get me wrong, there were good parts that, the story kind of came together at the end, but, and there were some really funny parts and, some bits and pieces that were good, but I feel like it wasn't like the best movie ever. And there was a lot that I was disappointed about. Number one, I felt like the storyline was it was dumb. Why do you feel like you have to redeem these characters? Like, that was dumb. Like, these characters came into the MCU universe from these other universes, and I think the whole thing about trying to redeem them and make them better was dumb. Like, stop trying. Like, that didn't make any sense. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that happened because they were trying to do something stupid. I feel like that part of the story, I mean, I get it, it's a part of the story, but I think it was dumb. We all know these are bad, and I wish they would have, instead of them trying to redeem them and make them better, I wish they would have just been villains and just destroyed everything. And when the three Spider-Men came together, they worked as a team and they defeated these terrible villains instead of them going around and trying to cure them from their ailments. Another thing I didn't like was the whole Doctor Strange thing. I feel like, yes, he played that important role where he cast the spell and basically destroyed the multiverse. And I really feel like the only reason why Doctor Strange was there was to destroy the multiverse so that could lead into the multiverse of madness, because we know in the MCU they're going to the multiverse. Loki talked about it, and in that Loki series on Disney Plus. But I feel like the part where Doctor Strange had him in the mirror dimension, and he used, this is just basic geometry, and had Doctor Strange, the former Sorcerer Supreme, stuck in the mirror dimension. That makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. I thought that was dumb. I feel like it'd have been better if he just locked Doctor Strange up in one of those cages that he had all the villains in. That would have made more sense than him geometrically spidering him up in a mirror dimension and falling through for 12 hours. That was dumb. I feel like that was a silly way to get rid of him to the end of the movie. Another thing I didn't like is how the whole thing with the sling ring. I didn't like how Ned magically knows how to use a sling ring. when in Doctor Strange, the very first movie, it took him forever to learn. And maybe it was because Ned has more belief and he believes more, as opposed to Doctor Strange, who was very knowledgeable and book smart and just didn't have any faith. But I didn't like that. The part with Aunt May, I felt like they felt compelled in the movie to say, with great power comes great responsibility. But it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right in that part. When we look at Sam Raimi's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, when Uncle Ben said it, it felt right. In Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, when Uncle Ben said it, it felt right. It was just the right moment. And I felt like because they hadn't said it in the first two movies, they felt compelled in this third movie to say, with great power comes great responsibility. But just in my opinion, it just didn't make sense. And then, which leads me to the whole part with Aunt May. Like, I don't know. I felt like they killed her off just to have a sad scene and just to have him be angry and vengeful about something. But it didn't work for me. I'm just going to be honest. That whole Aunt May scene didn't work for me. And I mean, it was sad, I guess, because when I was in the theater watching it, people were just crying. Somebody was like boo-hooing really loud for at least a good 5 minutes, but it didn't hit me. Like, when I'm in a movie, I want to be immersed in the emotion. I want to feel the emotion of a scene, and I didn't feel it. I just didn't feel it because I think I was stuck on the whole part where everything he did to this point was his fault. Like, him wanting to keep them instead of getting them all trapped up and having Doctor Strange send them back. And I know it's a part of the plot of the movie. You know, that whole thing was dumb. Keep trying to rehabilitate villains is dumb. That was dumb to me. So I didn't like that. And I felt like, I don't know, I felt like they didn't really develop that relationship between Peter and Aunt May very much. Because this is the most, to me, in my opinion, this is the most she's ever been involved in this particular movie. And I know she had involvement in the second Spider-Man, but I don't know. I just didn't feel that emotional connection with her as I feel like we should have. There should have been some character development. We should have been loving her. Like, if Ned had died or if MJ had died, I would have felt more because we had been, over the series of the first two movies, we would have been developing that relationship with them. So, another thing is, I didn't like, one thing too for me, and I know when they came out, when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man came and when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man came, everybody in the theater was cheering, but I don't know. I guess I was expecting a more monumental moment. You know, Ned's like, show me Spider-Man with the sling ring, and all of a sudden a Spider-Man comes through and it's Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. And it was cool, but I don't know. I felt like I wanted the moment to feel cooler. And like I said, this is just subjective. This is my opinion. I wanted the moment to feel cooler. One thing it did show, which I feel like when you had all three Spider-Men together, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland Spider-Man, I mean, Andrew Garfield, in my opinion, is the best Spider-Man. I know Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 gets a lot of criticism, but I loved his Spider-Man. I loved his ability to act and his emotion in that particular Spider-Man, which makes him better than all, like, as far as the acting of Spider-Man goes, makes him greater than all the other ones. And I could talk about the Amazing Spider-Man, the chemistry between Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man was perfect. Like, all of the emotion. I just loved his rendition of Spider-Man, and I loved how there's that one part where MJ is falling from the building where he redeemed himself, you know, where he saved her life and he was able to redeem, you know, felt like he redeemed himself from, you know, killing Gwen in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I love that. You know, I like the part where, you know, he said they called Tobey Maguire Spider-Man the youth pastor Spider-Man and all that stuff. But I liked their on-screen time and their chemistry. So with the three Spider-Man together, it was really cool. But, and then last but not least, I just didn't like the way it ended. The way it ended, I thought it was dumb. So basically, you cast a spell for everybody to forget you. You didn't want everybody to forget you, but in the end, everybody still forgot you. So what's the point? Like, I didn't like the ending. Like, one part that I didn't like in particular was the fact that everybody forgot him. And, you know, I feel like, and this is another one of those things where I feel like they ended it like this so that they could set something else up. I feel like the way the Spider-Man ended was so that they could set up the other Spider-Man. Because I feel like the Amazing Andrew Garfield Spider-Man might be coming back for Sony to do independent films aside from the MCU, so Tom Holland Spider-Man can do his thing in the MCU. But I didn't like how it ended. It's like, all right, you cured all of these villains and then you send them back to their universe. What happens? You know, if the Green Goblin got fixed, if the Lizard Man got fixed, if the Electro got fixed, you know, what happens now? If Sandman got fixed, is he back in jail? Green Goblin got fixed. Did he get evil again? Did Harry die? Like, what happens in those other universes? That left those questions. And then for him to be like, nobody to know him anymore. And for him to still be the Spider-Man, it's like now he's like restarting his life all over. Like, what happens next? I feel like the ending was kind of for the MCU storyline as a whole, and it just didn't feel like it ended right. If this was the last Spider-Man in this particular trilogy, I feel like it wasn't done right. So I didn't really like the ending. And I think I've already said this, but I just go back to it. I just feel like every bad thing that happened to him in this movie was all his fault. If you didn't ask Doctor Strange to cast that spell, or rather, if you didn't ruin the spell, when you did, if you just listened to Doctor Strange, caught the people and sent them back, I know it was a part of the storyline, Aunt May wouldn't be dead. Half the bad things that happened wouldn't have happened. And I just didn't like how they made the story. I wish they could have done better. And then too, regarding the storyline, I felt like there was a lot going on and it was just rushed. Like, they were rushing trying to get to that big part where all the Spider-Men come together. And I don't know, like I said, 7.5 for me. It wasn't the greatest Spider-Man movie ever. And I strongly disagree with those people who said this was the greatest Marvel movie ever. No, it wasn't. Like I said, it had its good things, but I just can't get with it. I felt like the other movies were better. I'm not even gonna lie. Spider-Man, the first two Spider-Mans were better. And but yeah, that's it. That's my review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Like I said, it wasn't like in any particular order, but it was my criticisms and they were just like empty plot holes that just didn't make any sense. But anyways, you guys, that's it for my full spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. If you guys get a chance, go out and see it, and I would love to know what you thought about it. What your opinion about Spider-Man No Way Home was. It did live up to his title, No Way Home. His old life is gone forever. So, but anyways, that's it for this review, and I will see you guys next time.